This last 2 years have been how come we're not out doing
I ain't got enough money to buy one. That's the reason I'm not.
that? Okay. The last 2 years have been in the whole seed industry has been relatively dramatic on the change, especially when it comes to soybeans. So as you know, we were using quite a bit of the LLGT27 beans, and then we also had a lot of the Roundup Extend beans. So what's happened is there's been a lot of legal things going on, some with dicamba, some with the approval of the Extend Flex soybean, a few things on transitioning to the other bean types that are out there. So in this past year, there's 5 brand new Extend Flex beans added to the lineup, varieties, and there are 5 new Enlist E3 soybeans added to the lineup. Now you say, we actually have a volume advantage at this point with the Extend Flex. When you go from here south, there's still a lot of folks using the Extend Flex because there's dicamba used. There's a lot of talk about atmospheric loading of dicamba if there's a lot of spraying going on during a high spray period, high application period. And if that's the case, they say miles away, light drifts can actually affect an Enlist E3 bean and cup leaves and things like that. Now, guys, I don't know how much of that can be validated. I think there's a possibility of that to exist, so I'm not either confirming or refuting it, either
I
one.
had some.
So, did you?
I had some cupping.
Okay. And so, that's possible, right? So, the good news is this, is that both of those lines are glyphosate tolerant, and both of those lines are liver tolerant. And on the case of an Enlist E3, you also have 2,4-D choline tolerance. Now, choline's different than amine or what was the other one, ester. And it's supposed to be more stable, more suited for soybean application. So that's the difference of those varieties. So some of the varieties you have up there now, there's a couple of them that are going to kind of be weeded out actually in favor of some new things. So down here, you might go from a late 2 to mid 3 or something like that. And so we got a new 352 Extend Flex. There is a little bit on the early side for you is a 262 Extend Flex. And then we've got a new 292 Enlist E3. And we've got a new 322 Enlist E3. And then the 361 E3s are up here, and I think they look really good. I like them better from what I saw than the 370s. And for that reason, we're going to eliminate the 370s. So that kind of gives you a little bit of update on the beans. They actually look nice up there, Dave. It was fun to see that. But when we walk up that way or whatever, I mean, we can stop by and just check that 361 down. Yeah. But that's kind of what's going on in the bean world right now. Phillips Seed Farms sits in central Kansas, but has customers up in northern Nebraska, where Zach's at, over in western Iowa, where Dale and Tyler are at, down into Missouri, where Hamp and Scott are at, and then from here in places south. So we run from a 2.5 maturity all the way up to a 5. And so, because you're covering many miles through there. And so we've got to be able to match up with the geolocations with varieties that are suited, but we also want to make sure that the varieties we've selected, really frankly, were selected out of many varieties. And so we with close work with vendors and our own testing, selected what we selected, and that's why we come up with some of the new things that you'll see. So with that, I think we're done with this portion. Any questions? Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Dave.